Okechukwu will be doing his thing. And I want to appreciate him again for his time because he's a very, very busy person. And I know how long it took before we could fix this lecture. So thank you very much again, our guest speaker. And I wish us a very wonderful time. Let's just have an open mind and ask our questions when necessary. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful welcome address. If you can't land on your platform, so there's no how you'll be able to actually carry out what you want to carry out. So this is very, very important. Thank you so much for that wonderful welcome address as usual, our section chairman, Dr. Dioko. And I want to use this opportunity to also welcome engineer Christopher Iglesias, is the publicity chairman. Welcome, sir. We see you, and thank you so much for gracing the event. Okay, so we'll go over to the next agenda, to the next item on the agenda, which is to introduce our wonderful captain, Okechukwu. So I'm going to be reading his profile now. So Okechukwu is a helicopter pilot and helideck inspector with 10 years experience in various roles in the aviation sector. He's a graduate of mechanical engineering from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. He had his initial helicopter flight training at Florida, USA on full company sponsorship and currently works with Bristol Helicopters Nigeria operations. He's an amateur golfer and lawn tennis player. Amazing. It's a wonderful one to have you right here. Captain Okechukwu, please confirm if you're with us.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I am with you.
Good evening, sir. Amazing. So thank you so much for gracing this event. So I don't know if you have a slide you'd like to share. So I'll stop sharing my slide. Then we keep up with the technical lecture and the safety of aviation in oil and gas industry.
Thank you, Mr. Abdulmalik. Thank you for that introduction. It's a pleasure. And I do have some slides to share. If you don't mind, can I be indulged?
All right, perfect. I'll stop sharing now then give you. Okay. I think you need to be made the co-host. If the host could kindly do that to make Captain Okechukwu the co-host. Okay, so I think you can go ahead with sharing your slide right now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Okechukwu Onuchukwu. Please, can everybody confirm that they can see my screen now?
Clearly we can.
Okay. All right. I am a helicopter pilot that was fully sponsored under the Bristol Helicopter Cadet Pilots Training Program of the set of 2014. It was an interview, just to give you a brief, that interviewed 5,000 people and they took only 20 and we were sent to Florida. And after successfully training, we were given a bond, a contract of employment. And I've been with the company ever since then. And over the course of time, both through the downs and the low and the ups, and both during the times we were facing difficulty in the company, we had to do other roles and as well get other skills within the company, which kind of expanded our view that aviation goes just beyond pilots and engineers and aircraft. There are so many supporting roles that holds not just the company, but the industry together. And I'm sure that is the same that applies to maybe the marine section or, the drilling section. Part of my additional duty in my company is also to serve as a helideck inspector, to inspect all the helidecks, both offshore and onshore, in order to ensure that they meet the CAP 437 requirements, or the ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Organization standard, or the NCAA, which is the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority standard. And we have a minimum that they should meet. This minimum assures that or ensures that the pilots, the aircrafts, the passengers are safe at every given point in time, especially at takeoff and destinations, which are critical phases of flight. All right, just to give you an overview on that. And so I decided to present this topic because it's a topic that's very dear to my heart, in the sense that just to ensure that everybody is with me and seeing my screen. Hello?
Yes, we can see your screen, but could you make it in a slideshow so it could be clearer? I don't know if it's possible from your side.
Okay. Just do this.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. So the topic for today is aviation safety, eliminating the hazards of nighttime flight operations at oil and gas locations. Why did I choose this topic? This topic is being hello?
Yes, sir, you could go ahead, please.
All right, continue. I chose this topic because it's a topic that I have had to have discussions so many times, and I will keep having them with some of our clients and at some of the locations that are associated with oil and gas operations, especially with the HLO, with the OIM or the captain of the ship, as well as with the safety personnel. They all form part of the key or the stakeholders on the client's side. So it's good that I bring them on board and explain things to them, the implications of all these things, and to bring it into a clearer picture for them to appreciate the hazards and how we can mitigate them on time. For those of us that work in the offshore industries or in the remote industry, in the remote locations like the creeks, the swamps, part of the ways we get there sometimes are through helicopters. I know some go by boat, but a lot do go by helicopters. And apart from just the regular crew change that we do every day, we also do what we call night standby operation. This night standby operation is to ensure that if for any reason there is a life-threatening situation offshore, we can come there and fly you out and bring you to either Port Harcourt or bring you to Warri or to Lagos, where you can get proper medical attention. So our flying in the night is in order for us to ensure that we bring in whoever is injured or whoever is facing some kind of sickness or health crisis, and bring them on time into where they can get good medical care. So in order for us to even get to you, we have to fly there safe. And that is why I chose this topic. And this one particularly focuses on the things that you could change and things that you could be aware as the operators or the employees or staffs or the workers of this oil and gas industry. So I've tried to keep this presentation as short and as how will I put it now, as short and as clear as possible so that we all can be in the same page. And I would refrain from using terms that are too specific to aviation so that we all can understand. All right. So the touch points we are going to be doing is I'm going to give you an overview of the topic, which I've done, and some of the hazards that we aim to eliminate are things like the black hole effect, the dazzle effect, and also give you the mitigations for them, and also to bring your attention to unstable decks, which most people do not actually consider, but it's a very important thing that could sneak up on you. And of course, I'm going to summarize it with the key takeaways, and there will be a time frame for questions and feedback. All right. So black hole effects. Now, black hole effect is a term that most people may not have heard, but for we in the aviation industry, especially the helicopter industry, are very familiar with that term, and we hope not to actually experience it. So it's a visual illusion, that pilots usually experience whenever they're doing an approach to come into either the heli deck or the helipad, either offshore or onshore. So, and as we are coming to it, there are some lightings on these heli decks that guide us, because it's nighttime, that guide us to come into the helipad or the heli deck. And in order to position properly, those are one of the importance of the markings and illuminating them on the heli deck. And this black hole effect, whenever you do not have that light properly constituted, or you have only the green light. So if you look at the picture by the side, you can see some green lights around the heli deck. Is everybody with me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So if we look and see these green lights
sir.
that are...
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, beautiful. If we see these green lights that are around the heli deck, these green lights are the ones that tell us the boundaries, the safe boundaries of where the helicopter is meant to land. So our job is to position in the center of it. If these green lights are all on, but if you see these other ones that look like torchlights around them, if the torchlights are not there or the center is not illuminated properly, it feels as if we are flying into a black hole. You have only the green and you don't have any light illuminating the center. We can fly into, it appears that we're flying into a black hole. And that's where the black hole effect name came from. And so if we see some of the causes of this, no ground lights. So that one happens especially when you're dealing with helipads that is situated maybe somewhere within that facility. If it's not illuminated properly, it feels as if we're going into a dark hole. And when you have a featureless terrain, it means you have no trees, you have nothing. This is what you have when you are going offshore, because you're over the ocean, everything looks flat and very dark. And then this black hole effect becomes even more pronounced on the nights that you don't have the moon. Whenever you guys call any helicopter company to come and pick maybe a patient that has gone into some kind of crisis, when we see the moon up in the sky, the moon gives off a certain light that helps you see the terrain. In that way, you are able to actually, get more spatial orientation of where you are. You are seeing at least some sight of the ground, some sight of maybe a mast or something. It helps us to understand where we are at every point in time. Otherwise, in the night, we only focus on the instruments in our aircraft. So the importance of the moon, it's something that we really appreciate as pilots in the nights. But on the days that there's no moon, and everywhere is like pitch black. And that's when this kind of hazard can become even more pronounced. And the reliance on visual cues. So we usually use visual cues to judge our height and to judge our distance away from the deck. So when we are coming to land, we reduce our altitudes gradually, usually from about 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, and we come down to about 500 feet, and that's where we start our stabilized approach. On our part, we have parameters that we meet for that one. But when we are coming down, when we are stepping down in height or altitude, the fact that we can still see that your helipad or that your heli deck, it helps us in order to fly to that heli deck. It takes a kind of skill that we all have, and it's very beautiful during the daytime. But in the night, we actually have to be on our toes because it's something that requires intense concentration because we don't have a second go at this. So we try to get it right every time. And whenever you have all these lights around, it helps us to know, okay, how far are we? Do we have to come in like this? You know, it helps us to organize ourselves. So it's just like if you're driving cars on the road, you know, if the fact that you can see the signboard that says turn here, or you can see a turn coming up, you know, your head can actually understand the distance you are away from a junction, or the distance you are from a pole, or even the distance you are from the side of the roads. You know, that's why we stay within the road. The same thing with this heli deck. These green lights, they help us to stay within the confines of the landing zone, and in order for us to orientate ourselves properly. And for the consequences of this is that sometimes if the lightings on your heli deck or your helipad are not properly arranged or not properly bright, or some are working and some are not, it may affect our ability to perceive our actual height from the place. So sometimes the pilots may have to steep, you know, fly down a little bit more aggressively, or let's say aggressively, no, a little bit more, putting more, you know, assertion to either fly down or fly up. And this is caused by the light feedback that we get. Sometimes we fly around your locations because we are trying to understand, you know, properly if everything is okay, to assess the risk of coming into land. And if we are good, we usually come into land. Otherwise, we do what we call a go around and either try again or return back to the city. And the reason why you want this is that you want your helipad to be in order, so that, God forbid, if it's you on that day that requires assistance, and it could be that, you know, these lights or some kind of hazard is presenting itself there, this could mean the difference between life and death, or between amputation and saving that limb. Controlled flights into terrain with CFIT accidents. This is a very popular one around the world because of probably we didn't judge it well. We now find out that either the pilot came in too fast. And when you come in too fast, there's a possibility that the aircraft may strike the ground at a harder than usual rate of descent. This has the ability to either injure some of the passengers inside, because we may be carrying a doctor from town and bringing him to you, because we must always fly with a doctor for medical evacuations, or even the pilots ourselves, you know. And then these aircrafts are not cheap. They're quite expensive. So this could also result in damage to these aircrafts, which can actually cost both significant financial commitments to repair, as well as the loss in revenue that would have achieved if we had flown more hours with that aircraft. So injury, damage to aircraft, and even possibly damage to your own facility. But the safety the safety outlook for the country has really been really good. I don't think in any recent memory we have had issues of any night accidents or hazards, as the case may be. So, but we always have to stay on our toes to ensure that this does not creep up on us. And the mitigation for this has been presented in this picture that you're seeing right now. Now, this is a world standard helideck. There are few places in this country that has it, and we are grateful for it. In this place, you can see around and see the grain. This grain in the night, it lets us know that this is the safe area that the helicopter can come down. This yellow mark you're seeing here, we call it the aiming circle. This tells us that aim for this point. Helicopter, aim for this point. Aim for this point. This H here, the H, it tells us how do we face the aircraft if possible. Because if we face the aircraft in this direction, it means that the passengers can easily exit the helideck. So I take it again. The green means this is the safe place that you can touch down. This place is the safe place. This yellow mark shows aim for here, aim for here. And the H gives us an idea of how to face the aircraft when we touch down. Now you can see the importance of this light. That black hole effect has been eliminated because there's no more black hole because of this light that are here. Now you can see these other ones that look like torchlights here, or they look like floodlights. They're actually called floodlights. They also can serve in the absence of this one here. And this floodlight, the importance that it shines us to this yellow line, and it shines to illuminate the name. As you can see, I know that it's a little bit upside down, but the name of this place is called Paul B. Lloyd Jr., which is Junior. Paul B. Lloyd Jr. So we can see a name, because you don't want somebody coming to come and pick you up, and there's another boat that has almost the same name. For instance, you have boats like maybe Bourbon or Arios, or Jascon vessels. And we know that sometimes the difference between some of these vessels is the number that comes after it. So you may have Paul B. Lloyd 521, Paul B. Lloyd 502, Paul B. Lloyd 503. So those 502 and 503 are usually the difference. So we need this light to shine on the name for us to be sure that we're actually coming to the place to come and pick this person. Because every single time that we waste is critical time that could have been applied to save the person. Now, we have like an outlook of what this should look like, and we can also see a weight that this helideck can take. So the key takeaway from this picture is that you have the green that shows you where the helicopter is safe to touch down. You have this one, the yellow circle that says aim for here, and the H that tells you how to park. So that one is for the black hole effect. And we have another problem called the dazzle effect. Dazzle effects are like it's a temporary visual impairment that you get when you focus on bright light or high intensity sources of light. So, and it usually causes like a temporary blindness. So if you look at the sun, okay, if you look at the sun, maybe when we're kids, or even sometimes when you stare at an eclipse, if you stare at it for too long, when you look away, you may temporarily not be able to see some things, and before your eye starts to adjust back. Or if I don't know if anybody here is a superstar, if you are going for an location and people are snapping you, if that flash enters your eye quite a lot, you may temporarily not be able to see properly until, your eye now adjusts back. That's part of the dazzle effect that the pilots can get. And these things usually comes from those floodlights on the heli deck, or even those installation lights that you have in the locations. Now, if you go onshore or if you go offshore, they have these bright lights that you guys put around. I think it's called security lights. Am I right?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, right. I'm just trying to check if you're still with me. So you have these bright lights that are all over your locations. I know that some of them are for security, some of them are just to illuminate the place for safety as well. But if these lights are close to the heli deck, they have a probability of temporarily affecting the visuals of the pilots. So we always ask whenever we do an inspection on different client places, I usually can take a look at some of the lights and said, no, this one, don't point it. Pointing towards the heli deck is going to cause this. Please direct it somewhere else. Sometimes it may be when we are operating and we see that this one may become a problem going forward. We will now make changes then. So what do I mean by floodlights? These ones that look like torchlights in the diagram in this center. These are what it looks like on the side. So on the far left, it's off. So we decided that if you put this thing on, sometimes it gets into the pilot eye. So we put a hood on the top. So it's like a face cap. So if you look on the far right, you can see the light on with the face cap on it. We call it a hood. So this thing, it's meant to actually prevent this light from going up to the pilot's eyes. It should shine only on the heli deck. That's why we put this thing that we call a hood. Most people can think about it as a face cap. They serve the same effect. So it's to prevent this light from going up to touch the pilot's eyes. And more of it can shine on the deck. So if you sit on the deck, all these ones that look like torchlights, these are the floodlights that we have. And these floodlights, the effect is to show the name on the deck, the weight that the deck of helicopter that the deck can accommodate, as well as to show the aiming circle and the H of the deck. I know you won't be able to see the H very well. This deck has a net on it, but when it's illuminated this way, it's a plus and an advantage for the pilots, and this promotes safe operations. All right. The other one that I told you can creep very easily is the case of unstable helidecks. When I mean unstable helidecks, these are helidecks that are on boats, support vessels, any kind of seaborne vessels that is prone to heave or pitch or roll. Why is that very important? Our aircrafts have the limitations that it can take, because we do not want our aircraft to slide off the heli deck. We do not want people falling out of the heli deck. We do not want bags or any cargo that you have rolling or falling off the heli deck. That is why we have all these things in place. And so it is important that you keep those equipments as up to date as possible. As up to date as possible. This can be a very big problem in the creeps up on you. The hazards that it can cause are going to be numerous. I don't know if we have anybody here that is an operator offshore or knows about crane operations offshore. If there's any, you would read that there is a kind of roll heave that have been up. We said, no, this is now unsafe. It will come down. Now, before he even gets to the point of the crane, the cop have a low tolerance for that. So it is important that this equipment, which is called, the equipment that checks it in is called heli monitoring system. It lives in it at least. We're checking it actively. During the day, this is a big problem. So in the night, it's even going to be more pronounced. And this is part of the reasons why we have to pay an attention to this as well. Whoever is in charge of the radio room has to keep giving the pilots day on the change pitch, this roll and this heave. Very, very important. And whenever you are offshore and your ship happens this way, left and tilt right this way, just know that a helicopter can't come here. You know, the helicopter cannot come. I've inspected some ships and some was rough and it's and it way sure there, but I could not get used to it. It has a way of affecting me each time, you know. But when you see a ship or a port, trust me, a helicopter cannot come in this time. Just by the pictures alone, it's very sad to state. So this is something that we should question. If your boat is undergoing this kind of movement and you hear helicopter is quite concerned, and I believe that with all reporting channels in our establishments, this is a good time to use that. This is a very good time to use that. Helicopters cannot come when boats are unstable or when helidecks are unstable offshore due to the state of the sea. So it's just something that we should bear in mind. And so the key takeaways that we should take from this is that constant monitoring of the floodlights, the perimeter lights, and the helideck conditions is very, very critical. It's very, very important because these floodlights can be good on Monday, but sometime on Tuesday evening, it's spoiled and nobody knows. So this is something that whoever is in charge, we call them the HLOs or the safety guy, you know, he should check these things every single day. Every single day. The truth about the whole thing is that some of your locations may go a whole year and you will not have any urgency. Because if emergencies were happening often, yes, some of these things will be in place. But because emergency don't always happen, we tend to overlook some of these things, you know. So this is something that we should really pay attention to. On the picture on the right, that picture is the picture of a vessel called that is under the category of a jack-up vessel. Yes, it has 3 legs. This is a jack-up, and jackups are usually not prone to those heave and pitch and roll because they are usually secured somehow to the bed of the sea. But if we pay attention to the helidecks, it gives us that grain that we were talking about earlier. It gives us the yellow circle that the pilots are to aim for, and it gives us the H to show the pilots a where to face the aircraft. So we can see it in the border spectrum. And at this point, I would open the floor. Any contributions, any critique, to the floor. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for that beautiful presentation on the eliminating the hazards of nighttime flight operations at the oil and gas locations. And you were able to tell us some of the hazards or challenges during this operation, such as the black hole effects, which is limited visibility, the dazzle effects, which has to do with glare from bright lights, and unstable conditions on landing decks rather. And you're able to also tell us the control measures we should put in place by implementing adequate and strategic placing lights to enhance visibility during night operations, and also control the direction of the lights, and also weather monitoring. Thank you very much, sir. So at this point, if you have any question, please just raise your hand or write it in the chat box.
Sylvia, there is a question on the chat box already.
Okay. Okay, so somebody asked, Alade Kamadin asked, how can we get the slide, sir?
Okay, yeah, I could send it over to Dr. Eddie, and he can have it given to the group. I will also be updating the slides with some other info. I didn't want to pack too many information inside, but these are some critical things that we should be aware of. But I will hand the slide over to Dr. Eddie.
All right, thank you very much. Then we also have another question. And it goes, what are the critical codes and standards that guide the design and construction of helipads? And the second question is, what is the minimum distance that should be observed between a building, equipment, or structure and an helipad? And I would like to be enlightened as regards to the allowable distance to an helipad, especially for high altitude structures like wind vanes, windstalks, and flare stacks. Those are the two questions.
Okay. Thank you, Abdulateef Abbas. The critical codes and standards that guide the design and constructions are usually contained in the UK CAP 4, UK CAA CAP 437. I think they are in edition 9 now. So I have typed it into the chat. The document that you should be looking at for UK CAA CAP 437. The other document that one guides mainly the offshore. It guides both the day and the nights, and it has a couple of number 2 questions answered in. It's not a fixed distance, but it gives you an idea of the safe distance that should be observed. So it depends on the kind of helicopter that is coming to your place, because if the big ones like the S-92s and the AW189s, those are big ones. Their requirements are different. The one is that would require to come there. So, but all those things are contained in that document. Another important one that you should have is the ICAO Annex 14 document heliport, the chart, and it's something that you could download online, and have a read through. It's quite an easy document to read to an extent, and to the other extent, you will require professionals. There are so many companies, not so many, but there are quite a few companies based in Ori and Efurun, the design and the constructions and the certification. So it's good to contact them, and they will help you with building something that is very safe. I've seen quite a few of their jobs, and I was very, very impressed. Yes, I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you very much. I can see some hands are raised. Dr. Eddie, please ask a question.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, yes, lecturer, for this wonderful lecture. I have a couple of questions to ask, but let me just limit it to one because of time. You know, especially when you're on a Jacob rig or a Jacob barge offshore, the helipad is usually not very, very big. So my question is, do you require special skill? Is it every pilot that you are allowed to go and land on a platform like that, or you must have a particular level of training for you to do that? Just like maybe you can be a driver, for instance, but they tell you that you cannot drive articulated vehicle. You need to have a license for articulated vehicles, you know. So I just want to ask, is it just any pilot? How long do you need? Is it years of experience you've been as a pilot, or you have a special training or certification to enable you land on platform? Because I've had experiences on platforms with certain pilots, you know, maybe that's what's necessitating this question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. That question is actually shows somebody that has had a very extensive experience with flying to some places. So in the past, yes, we used to have depending on the safety hazard that may be in that location, that would require certain pilots that have been trained and cleared with endorsement to go there. Those kind of places, I don't think there's exist anymore. I think in the past it used to be somewhere like is it Langley or so. But for now, these days we train all the pilots from scratch, including the new ones that just joined. Over time, we also practice that with them, because I knew that when I joined, when I started to fly as a fresh pilot from school, whenever we are going to any of these unstable helidecks, but they are still within the parameters. I mean, it was a very exciting opportunity. You know, you are always on your game, but and you're always quite in a heightened state. But over time, you get used to it. But there's something you should also know, with irrespective of our training or our experience, when we come to that location, when it's about to land, if we see the way the deck is to move, the pilots at any time can choose to discontinue that operation and return back to base and said, no, I'm not going to land here because I do not feel comfortable. It is part of the SMS of different companies. If the pilots do not feel comfortable to land anywhere because of security, because of hazardous weather conditions, because of even strong wind, it is their obligation or right to, or entitlement to turn back and said, no, I am not going to risk it. That gives us the degree to which you should not land. And we are constantly being trained, So this is why that we have not had any incidences anywhere offshore. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you very much. We still have another hand and a couple of questions in chat box, but Kelvin, you could kindly speak now. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. I'm Okpala Kevin from Helideck Integrity Africa, Helideck Inspector to be precise. So my question is for black hole effects. I think we should consider what is scenario in our operation in a situation whereby you are about to land or you are intending to land and some of your floodlight and perimeter light is not working, that is not functioning. I wanted to ask, is there like a technique pilots deploy to land safely in that kind of situation, especially when you're in an emergency situation to pick up somebody having a medical challenge?
Okay, thank you for that question. Whenever we're coming into to land, one of the things that we use to aid us is the floodlight that is usually under the nose of our aircraft. So if we are coming to land, even if your whole lights are good, we always point it, at least I do, and so many other pilots, just in case for some reason, that is when your light decided to blink and spoil. Because I mean, if you ever heard of the Murphy's Law, but we always point that floodlight towards the helideck. That is one way that we use. And sometimes if you see the picture on the right of your screen, if sometimes the way the other periphery floodlights that helps to illuminate the facility, sometimes they cast some kind of light on the helideck. All right. And so in a life-threatening situations, we, the pilot, will assess, can we land here safely based on maybe some of the lights now blinked? We cannot, because of one bulb died, we'll not land. No. But you have to do an assessment. And if for any reason the assessment falls below our acceptable risk appetite, we would discontinue that operation. But usually we always make an effort, and that is why we always advise a location to please repair these things to avoid the pilots having to decide if they will land or not. So the floodlight under our aircraft is the light that we usually use as a kind of backup or an aid when we are about to land. I hope that answers the question.
Yes. Thank you very much for that wonderful answer.
All right. Okay, so the next question on the chat box is from Blessing Ben. Says, please, can you share what safety shortcuts or certification can young engineers take to be considered in the offshore operations?
Okay, safety short course or certification for the offshore operations. So probably that questions may be more suited for those that are experts in the marine operations. For me, I am not in the marine operations, but for the helideck inspector, which also goes offshore, we want to look at maybe being a helideck inspector, and we have companies that are involved in training or that can train inspectors. We have a couple of them in Warri, Efron. So if you do a search, you should find them there and have a talk with them. I think they're quite good. I think they've trained some couple of guys, and I also trained there as well. I did a refresher there. I can't recollect the place here, but if you search for helideck companies based in Efron or Warri, you should get them there. They're quite good. And so that's the only one that I do know about. But if you're looking for other safety short courses, probably they'll be related to boats or cranes or stuff. It's those that are in the marine field that will be able to answer that one very well.
Yeah, so if I may answer around engineers that go offshore, basically there is the HUET, that's the helicopter underwater survival training. there is also the bullshit, which is the more rigorous one, the basic offshore safety induction and emergency training. I'm sure these trainings help you with um, survival at sea, which is also part of it. How when you land on heli deck that are not stable, what you're supposed to do, rope transfer and all those stuff are catered there. I know much about that, so any other one around, if you want to be a safety professional, is different. But if you're a young engineer working as a petroleum engineer or any other thing and you need to go offshore, you need to get those certifications before you can even fly a helicopter to the location. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for that response, Mr. Tammy. Ben, hope you got your answers. Okay, so there was a hand raised up, Mr. Kenneth. Please, can you speak?
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Captain Okechukwu. That was a very insightful and educative session. My question is simply around the area of the sort of or the minimum requirement a facility needs to meet for flight operations to be allowed to or from that facility. Are there like minimum requirements as per Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority regulation, or according to what you said, according to the CAP 437 regulation, or whatever other industry regulations are there? Are there like minimum requirements that the facility needs to have met for it to be deemed fit for operations? Or you guys can you just fly to any location to carry out flight operations? Because I know that according to international IATA law, IATA and IQ law, for medevac purpose, helicopters can land on any facility at any time of the day to evacuate people in case of emergencies. But beyond that, for regular activities, regular commercial flight activities, are there like minimum requirements you need a facility to have attained for you to fly, deem it safe enough to fly there?
Okay, thank you very much. For as regards the minimum requirements from the regulator, which is the NCA, you must have a helideck certificate. It is very important. That helideck certificate will determine if you are cleared for day operations or if you are cleared for day and night operations. Very important. Because I do not work in the line of pure helideck inspections. It is advisable to meet a helideck inspection company in order for them to guide you through the accreditation processes and as well as the certificates that are needed. I operate from the side of the helicopter operator. So ours is just, where is this document? Is it available? Okay, then we fly to the place and do our own assessment. But we do not touch anything relating to clearance. It is a very tedious, expensive, and time-consuming process. So it is better suited to experts that are into helideck design, construction, and certifications. They are the ones that can handle and know how to go about that. For we, on our part, we don't. And whenever your certificate expires, be aware that any helicopter that operates to your location is now in violation of a law. And this could have some very serious financial implications. If you now have an accident there, that one we are now beginning to discuss about some kind of legal proceedings against you. So from my side, I just need to see this certificate. From your side, if you need those certificates, the best thing is to consult a helideck and heliports contractor that can take you through that process. And I think there are a couple of them that are based in, I think they have offices in Warri, and they have some again in Port Harcourt as well. So, I mean, if you do a search online, I think there are a couple of them there that you can find. If anybody needs their names, yeah, I could provide that outside, but you can also do your search as well. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. I think this is we have 3 more questions in the chat box, and one is from Caleb from Peru. It says, are there fixed platforms or also electro-submersible platforms in your offshore oil fields, which where weather conditions are very critical, such as rain, abnormal waves, and it's a platform that's not fixed, or perhaps a boat? So at what point is the decision made to continue with the operation, and when is the operation cancelled due to bad weather?
Okay, all right. Let me go. It has quite some questions packed in it, but let me try and break them down so that I can answer them sequentially. The first one is, are there fixed platforms or electro-submersible platforms in your offshore oil fields? I would say yes. I don't know about electro-submersible, but I know about submersible platforms. We get them from time to time, as well as we do have fixed platform everywhere. There are plenty of them. There are over 200 of them in this country. Which weather conditions are very critical, such as rain, abnormal waves, and it's a platform that is not fixed or perhaps a boat. So for the critical weather conditions, rain is a very big problem because rain doesn't just affect our visibility. If we land at your place and we bring down the engine to idle, if there's heavy rain, we cannot put it back to fly. And I mean, because it's going to have, it may get sucked into the turbine. So it actually affects the aircraft itself. Do we get that crazy rain? Yeah, we get the rain from time to time. We do. And with those kind of heavy rains, they come abnormal waves, of course. That sometimes they go hand in hand, you know. And so, but we have a limitation that if it exceeds, we'll discontinue the process. We have platforms that are not fixed as well. We have mobile platforms, if that's what you're asking. And then at what point is the decision made to continue with the operation, and when is the operation cancelled due to bad weather? So before we leave our base, we always get the weather from the offshore locations. When we're told to go, we will always keep getting updates of the weather. Whenever we get an update that is going to test our ability, or that becomes unsafe because it's night, at any point of that operation, it can be cancelled. So there is no specific time or point. The only point of which we will not discontinue is when we say, okay, we are committed to the helideck. When we are committed to the helideck, we are usually about 50 feet, you know, from the deck or above the deck, you know, within probably 0.3 miles, you know, so we can see the helideck. Those are the only time that we say, okay, we are committed. Anytime before that, the pilots can choose, anywhere in the world, can choose to discontinue the operation if the weather is bad due to high winds. Sometimes you may tell us the wind is just 10 knots. When we get there, the wind is doing like 40 something. There's no way we're going to come to land there, you know. So at any point, it can be discontinued due to the bad weather. Or if we see that if we land on your station, sometimes that the kind of big storm will cover us completely. Yeah, we may choose to shut down on your place, or we may choose to turn back so that we can come when the whole thing has already cleared out. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. I hope Caleb, you got the answer You got the answers. Okay, so the last two questions from Abbas. He asks, I'm not sure you mentioned any effects on tall structures having on landing for helicopters. Do they have any kind of effect? And are there any local regulations in Nigeria that guides the design and construction of helipads, and possibly any regulatory authorities in Nigeria?
Yeah, so I don't think I did mention the tall structures, but the effect that the tall structures have is that on landing helicopters is that if it's in the night, any tall structure should have lights along the length of it. So I think it's from every anything higher than 3 meters or so, as you go up every 1.5 or 2 or something, you have to put a red light there to make the pilots aware that this structure is there. Usually they're not a problem during the day, they're usually a problem in the night or maybe in reduced visibility. So that's the effect that it does have. For actual tall structures that maybe like buildings, and so the effect it has is that sometimes it makes the air rough. So when we are coming to land on the helipad or helideck, if the bridge is very tall or one admin building is very tall that is close to that place, most of you will discover that the helicopter vibrates in a very uncomfortable way just before you touch down on the helideck. It's usually because of those rough air that comes from the tall structures and so on. But if the structures are like poles or masts, we usually like to have them, marked with a sort of lights that helps us to know that this tall structure is here. Are there any local regulations in Nigeria that guide? Okay, so the local regulation we have here is called the NSAN. I don't think they really do that, but what you may want to do is consult the ICAO Annex 14, as well as some elements from the CAL 437. And it's very important for you to meet somebody that is well grounded in this, because if you make any mistake on this, you're going to have to redo it, and answer to any problems that come with wrong interpretation. So it's always good that if you're not an expert in this, you go and seek help from those that are experts, and then they will guide you through how to go about it. A few of those documents I've put down there, but to get who will interpret it, you have to go to the experts. And I'm actually on the operator's part, so I can't do that one myself, but there are people that know how to do it, and they are quite good. They're quite good. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you very much. We have some hands raised from Dr. Eddie and Mr. Kenneth. Dr. Eddie, please, the floor is yours.
No, I think it's actually the hand I raised before. But
Okay.
I think I was just going to beg for that we release the lecturer, because the questions will not go finish the man, I beg.
All right. No problem. I think we'll be taking the last question from Mr. Kenneth, and then we will proceed to the announcements. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mine is not a question, but more of a comment responding to the last response the lecturer just gave regarding the regulations around all structures and helipad designs and so on. So I think the lecturer is from my take. The lecturer has dealt a lot with for helipads, rather. And the question is surrounding issues of heliports, which is mainly onshore. And the little I know about heliports is that from state of design, you must, after the design is done, you must take it to the regulators for approval, vetting and approval. That process require them determine your flight path. They'll look at structures around path for you and see your obstacle and all of the other limitations that might cause difficulties for pilots flying to that location. So if you look at the NCAS Part 12, it carries a few of the necessary regulatory information you need, but it does not exhaust everything. The other parts of the information are in different gazettes of the NCA that you will find, but it doesn't cover everything. So like a lecturer said, you might want to consult with a subject matter expert when you need to have that done to ensure that you're properly guided. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're moving over to the announcement and upcoming events, which will be taken by Engineer Christopher. Please, Engineer Chris, are you on the call? The floor is yours.
Yeah, good evening. I'm on call. Good evening, everyone. And I really enjoyed the presentation. So I want to thank the presenter, especially for this presentation. It's actually rare, but I know that all of us that joined the call tonight really enjoyed it. Okay, all right. We have some of our upcoming programs. Yeah, the first on the list is our AGM, our annual general meeting, which is coming up on Saturday, 20th of July, 2024. And as part of the activities for the annual general meeting and award ceremony, we also have a tree planting activity. So tree planting activity is going to be a day before the annual general meeting, which is on Friday, 19th of July, 2024. The locations for the tree planting is PTI, Petroleum Training Institute, and FOPRI, Federal University of Petroleum Resources. So we'll start with PTI and then we finish at FOPRI. We've done that before during our ATS in May. So this is the phase 2 for this year. However, the one we did in ATS was sponsored by the section. This is being sponsored by the council. So after that, all roads leads to Lagos for the NIES. NIES is Nigerian Annual International Conference and Exhibition. One of the, in fact, the highest flagship program of SPE in Nigeria. Okay, so it's starting on the 3rd of August with the short course series. The short course will run for 2 days, 3rd and 4th. And then the conference proper will start on Monday, 5th of August and end on the 7th of August. There are a lot of activities that are going to be unfolded. So it's better you don't want to be told. It's better you visit, you attend NIES and experience it by yourself. Okay. All right. I think that's all for now. So thank you for joining the meeting. And then back to you, the moderator.
All right, thank you very much, Engineer Christopher. So we'll be moving over to the closing remarks, which will be taken by Mr. Tammy, the program chair for SPE Warri section. Sir, the floor is yours.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, once again. In fact, this is time spent very well. I just want to use this opportunity to appreciate our very seasoned lecturer and pilot, Captain Okechukwu Unochukwu. Thank you very much. This is coming at a better time, especially for petroleum engineers and people that go offshore. This is really, really important. We will really appreciate your when you send across the materials as we promised, so that we can share to our professionals and they will pick a lot of learning from this. Really appreciate you. Also using this opportunity to appreciate our section chair for initiating this whole lecture. It was something that he hashed, an idea he hashed, and within a matter of days, it came to a reality. Thank you, Dr. Eddie. And thanks to everyone that put this together, the programs team, the publicity team, the way this program was organized was really highly professional. The speed to delivery was very, very remarkable. And everyone that joined, even to Caleb that joined all the way from Peru, um, just keep a tab with SP Worry. We have very good program. Sorry, somebody muted me. Yeah, so we have very good programs for professionals in the energy industry to lash on to. Do have a lovely evening. God bless you wherever you are. Over back to you, Sylvia.
Okay, thank you very much for that closing remarks, Mr. Tammy. So now we'll be moving to the last agenda on our list, which is the photo section. So please, everybody kindly turn on your camera.
I hope we are not forgetting something, or are we not supposed to do a presentation?
Sylvia,
Okay, sir. Okay, yes,
there
sir.
is a certificate of appreciation.
Okay.
Yeah, indeed.
Yes, sir. So we would like to present a certificate of appreciation to our guest speaker, which is Mr.
Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
yeah, Sylvia, can I be made a co-host so that I can share from
Alright.
here for the section chair to do the presentation? Yeah.
Okay, sir.
No, let programs chair do it. Programs chair, I was thinking that let programs chair do it. Programs chair, please do it.
If you delegate to me section chair, I can't say no. But I would have preferred if you do the honors, because the Captain Unuchuku deserves the best of the best. So I will want to ask my chairman to please do the honors. Okay. So silence means that my section chair has delegated and I can't say no. So on behalf
It's just
of
I'm in a noisy place. That's why I wanted you to do it.
okay. Okay, on behalf of XP Worry section, I want to present to you, sir, Captain Uchechukwu C. Onochukwu. This is just a token of our appreciation in recognition of your excellent delivery for our July technical lecture on the theme Aviation Safety, Eliminating the Hazards of Nighttime Flight Operations at Oil and Gas Locations. On behalf of our chairman, I wish to present this certificate to you, sir. It's just a token of our appreciation. And we hope that you will be back to give more of such exciting and expository lectures in future. Thank you. Hello, confirm you heard me, sir.
So,
Yeah,
yes, I did.
confirm you heard
Thank you
me.
very much for these
Okay.
certificates. I appreciate it. Yes, I heard everything you said, and I appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Sylvia, for the photo shoot.
All right, thank you very much. We truly appreciate you, Mr. Okechukwu. So please, it's time for the photo section. Kindly turn on your camera. Okay. Yes, I can see everybody's beautiful faces. Yes. Okay. So on the count of 1 to 3. I'll be taking the screenshots. So 1, 2, 3, SP taken. I'll take it one more time just to be sure it was captured. So 1, 2, 3. Here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And do enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you. Thank you to our facilitator.
Yeah,
Thank-
thanks all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good night rest.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night rest.
Yeah, section chair, are we staying back or we are convening back by 8 p.m.? Section chair, please confirm, are we staying back or we are reconvening by 8 p.m.?